Good morning and happy Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. We are back with another 20 to 30 minutes of reading through the Bible. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Melissa. I do come on just about every day, except for the weekends sometimes. And I just read for about 20, 30 minutes just to allow you to get your word in every day. I know sometimes it can be hard to get that time in every day, so this just gives you that opportunity while you're getting ready for work, school, driving in the car, whatever the case may be. So I read from the Daily Life Bible. This is the Common English Version, and I say this every time. This is my favorite one to just read from, and then I study from other ones, but I like to read this one because it's easy to read and just easier to, as it says, easy to read, easier to understand. It really is compared to, we used to use King James all the time, and then I started reading the New King James, and I like the New King James just for its, I don't know, the I don't know how to explain it, but that's like my favorite version to read. But when I'm trying to study, I'll do the NIV or NLT just because they're easier to study from in whatever study Bible, I have. I do have a video showing all my favorite Bibles and why they're my favorites. There's probably like 10 of them, but they're all for different reasons. So that is it. I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you're interested, I do have a playlist starting from Genesis on to, we are now in 2 Samuel. Yeah, 2 Samuel. Oh my goodness, my tabs are all messed up. We're in 2 Samuel. Why am I doing that? So again, I have a playlist with everything from Genesis up until now, and it should be in order. So you should be able to just kind of say play all, and it'll start from the beginning and work its way through to now. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. If you have any prayer requests or anything like that, be sure to put it down in the comments, or if you don't want it to be public, you can email me. My information will be in the description box, my email address. And so that is it. Let me go ahead and get started. Lord, I thank you for this day. Thank you, God, for waking us up this morning. I pray you take control, God, and just have your way, Lord. I pray, God, that you bring whoever needs this, whoever's searching for you, whoever's looking to just grow closer to you and get their word in every day, that you bring them to my channel. Bring them to this video, God. Have your way. Let your will be done. In Jesus' name, thank God and amen. And we end it here. So we're going to go ahead, get started. I'm going to try and finish it by tomorrow. I think whatever we read today, I'm going to have to clear some more space on my phone. I'm looking here. Yeah, I'm going to have to clear some more space so that I can possibly tomorrow just finish 2 Samuel. So then next week when we get started, we can just go straight into 1 Kings, but we'll see how that works out. And maybe I'll do 2 readings today. Maybe I'll do one tonight, or I'll do that tomorrow or something like that. Or if I have to, I'll come on one day in the weekend. All right, let's go. Now Joab, Zeruiah's son, could see that the king's mind was on Absalom. So Joab sent someone to Tekoa and brought a wise woman from there. He said to her, "Pretend to be in mourning, dress in mourning clothes. Don't anoint yourself with oil. Act like a woman who has spent a long time mourning over someone who has died. Go to the king and speak to him as follows." Then Joab told her what to say. When the woman from Tekoa came to the king, she fell face down, bowing low out of respect. "King, help me," she said. "What is wrong?" the king asked her. "It's terrible," she said. Excuse me. "I'm a widow. My husband is dead. Your servant had 2 sons, but the 2 of them fought in the field. No one could separate them, and one struck the other and killed him. Now the entire clan has turned against your servant. They say, 'Hand over the one who killed his brother so we can execute him for murdering his brother, even though we would destroy the heir as well.' So they would snuff out the one ember I have left, leaving my husband without name or a descendant on the earth." The king said to the woman, "Return home, and I will issue an order in your behalf." The woman of Tekoa said to the king, "My master and king, let the guilt be on me and on my father's household. The king and his throne are innocent. If anyone speaks against you, bring him to me, and he will never trouble you again." The king replied. She said, Let the king remember the Lord your God so that wait, please let the king remember the Lord your God so that the one seeking revenge doesn't add to the destruction and doesn't kill my son." "As surely as the Lord lives," David said, not one of your son's hairs will fall to the ground." Then the woman said, "May your female servant say something to my Oh, it's a question. May your female servant say something to my master the king?" "Speak," he said. The woman said, "Why have you planned the very same thing against God's people? In giving this order, the king has become guilty because the king hasn't restored his own banished son. We all have to die. We're like the water spilled out on the ground that can't be gathered up again." But God doesn't take life away. Instead, he makes plans so that those banished from him don't stay that way. "I have come to my master the king to talk about this because people have made me afraid." Your servant thought, "I must speak with the king. Maybe the king will act on the request of his servant, because the king will agree to deliver his servant from the power of anyone who would destroy both me and my son from the inheritance God gave." Your servant thought, "The word of my master the king will definitely come from me, because my master the king is like one of God's messengers, understanding good and evil. May the Lord your God be with you." The king answered the woman, "I must ask you something. Don't hide anything from me." The woman said, "Please, my master and king, speak." So the king said, "Has Joab put you up to this?" The woman answered, "As surely as you live, my master and king, no one can deviate a bit from whatever my master and king says. Yes, it was your servant Joab who directed me, and it was Joab who told your female servant to say all these things. Your servant Joab did this to change the way things look, but my master's wisdom is like the wisdom of one of God's own messengers. He knows everything that takes place in the land." So the king said to Joab, "All right then, I will do it. Go and bring back my boy Absalom." Joab fell face down, bowing low out of respect, and he blessed the king. "Today your servant knows that you think well of me, my master and king," Joab said, "because the king has followed up on his servant's recommendation." So Joab got up, went to Geshur, and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem. The king said, "He must go straight to his own house. He must not see my face." So Absalom went straight to his own house, and did not see the king. No man throughout no man throughout Israel was as praised for his good looks as Absalom. From the soles of his feet to the crown of his head, there was nothing wrong with him. When he shaved his head, he had to shave his head at the end of each year because his hair was so heavy that he had to shave it. The weight of the hair from his head was 200 shekels by the royal weight. Absalom had 3 sons and 1 daughter. The daughter's name was Tamar. She was a beautiful woman. Absalom lived in Jerusalem 2 years without ever seeing the king's face. Absalom called for Joab in order to send Joab to the king, but Joab refused to come. Absalom called for Joab a second time, but he still didn't come. So Absalom said to his servants, "Look, Joab's property is next to mine. He has barley there. Go and set it on fire." So Absalom's servants set the property on fire. Then Joab's servants went to Joab with their clothes torn. Absalom's servants set the property on fire, they said. So Joab went straight to Absalom's house and said to him, Why have your servants set my property on fire? Absalom answered Joab, Look, I sent you a message. Come here so I can send you to the king to ask, Why have I returned from Jeshurun? I would be better off if it wait, I would be better off if I were still there. Please let me see the king's face. If I'm guilty, then the king can kill me. Joab went to the king and reported this to him. Then the king called for Absalom, and Absalom came to the king. He bowed low out of respect, nose to the ground before the king. The king kissed Absalom. Some time later, Absalom got a chariot and horses for his own use, along with 50 men to run ahead of him. Absalom would get up early and stand by the side of the road that went through the city gate. Whenever anyone had a lawsuit to bring before the king for judgment, Absalom would call to him, What city are you from? When the person said, Your servant is from one of the tribes of Israel, then Absalom would say to him, No doubt your claims are correct and valid, but the king won't listen to you. If only I were made a judge in the land, Absalom would continue, then anyone with a lawsuit could come to me, and I would give them justice. Whenever anyone came near to Absalom, bowing low out of respect, he would reach his hand out, grab them, and kiss them. And this is how Absalom treated every Israelite who came to the king seeking justice. This is how Absalom stole the hearts of the Israelites. At the end of 4 years, Absalom said to the king, Please let me go to Hebron so I can fulfill a promise I made to the Lord. Your servant made this promise when I lived in Jeshurun in Aram. I promised that if the Lord would bring me back to Jerusalem, then I would worship the Lord in Hebron. Go in peace, the king said. So Absalom left and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent secret agents throughout the tribes of Israel with this message. When you hear the sound of the trumpet, then say Absalom has become king in Hebron. 200 invited guests went with Absalom from Jerusalem. They were innocent and knew nothing of this matter when they went. While Absalom was offering the sacrifice, he summoned David's advisor, Ahithophel, who was from Gilo, to come from his hometown. So the conspiracy grew stronger, and Absalom's following grew. Excuse me. A messenger came to David reporting, The hearts of the Israelites have gone over to Absalom. Then David told all the servants who were with him in Jerusalem, Come on, we have to run for it, or we won't be able to escape Absalom. Hurry, or he will catch up with us in no time, destroy us, and attack the city with the sword. The king's servants said to him, Your servants are ready to do whatever our master the king decides. So the king left, with his entire household following him, but he left 10 secondary wives behind to take care of the palace. So the king left, all his people following him, and they stopped at the last house. All the king's servants marched past him, as did all the Cherethites, all the Pelethites, and the 600 Gittites who had followed him from Gath. The king said to Ittai the Gittite, Why are you coming with us too? Go back. Stay with King Absalom. You are a foreigner and an exile from your own country. You just got here yesterday, so today, should I make you wander around with us while I go wherever I have to go? No, go back and take your relatives with you. May the Lord show you love and faithfulness. May the Lord show you loyal love and faithfulness. But Ittai answered the king, As surely as the Lord lives, and as surely as my master the king lives, wherever my master the king may be, facing death or facing life, your servant will be there too. Okay then, David replied to Ittai, Keep marching. So Ittai the Gittite and all of his men and all the little children with him marched past. The whole countryside cried loudly as all the troops marched past. The king crossed the Kidron Valley, and all the troops passed by on the olive road into the wilderness. Zadok was there too, along with with all the Levites carrying the chest containing God's covenant. They set God's chest down. Abiathar offered sacrifices until all the troops had finished marching out of the city. Then the king said to Zadok, carry God's chest back into the city. If the Lord thinks well of me, then he will bring me back and let me see it in its home again. But if God says, I'm not pleased with you, then I am ready. Let him do to me whatever pleases him. Do you understand? The king said to the priest Zadok, go back to the city in safety, you and Abiathar, with your two sons, your son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. I will be waiting in the desert plains until you send word telling me what to do. So Zadok and Abiathar took God's chest back to Jerusalem and stayed there. But David, his head covered, walked barefoot up the slope of the Mount of Olives, crying. All the people who were with him covered their heads too and cried as they went up. David was told that Ahithophel was also among the conspirators with Absalom. So he prayed, please, Lord, make Ahithophel's advice foolish. When David came to the summit where people used to worship God, Hushai from Erech met him. Hushai's clothes were ripped and dirt was on his head. David said to him, if you come with me, you will be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, King, I am your servant, please spare my life. I was your father's servant in the past, but now I am your servant. Then you can help me by countering Ahithophel's advice. The priests Zadok and Abiathar will be there with you. So report everything you hear in the king's palace to the priests Zadok and Abiathar. Their two sons, Zadok's son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan, are also there. Use them to report to me everything you hear. So David's friend Hushai went into Jerusalem, just as Absalom was entering the city. Let's see. I'm going to read this chapter and then be done. When David had passed a short distance beyond the summit, Ziba, Mephibosheth's servant, met him with a pair of saddled donkeys loaded with 200 loaves of bread, 100 bunches of raisins, 100 figs, and a jar of wine. What is all this for? The king asked Ziba. The donkeys are for the royal family to ride, Ziba explained. The bread and summer fruit are for the young people to eat, and the wine is for those who get exhausted in the wilderness. Where is your master's grandson? The king asked. He is still in Jerusalem, Ziba answered the king, because he thinks that the Israelites are now going to give his grandfather's kingdom back to him. Look here, the king said to Ziba, everything that belonged to Mephibosheth now belongs to you. Ziba said, I bow out of respect. Please think well of me, my master and king. When King David came to Bahurim, a man from the same clan as Saul's family came out from there. His name was Shimei. He was Gera's son. He was cursing as he came out. He threw rocks at David and all of King David's servants, even though the entire army and all the warriors were on either side of him. This is what Shimei said as he cursed David. Get out of here, you are a murderer, you are despicable. The Lord has paid you back for all of the blood of Saul's family, in whose place you rule, and the Lord has handed the kingdom over to your son, Absalom. You are in this trouble because you are a murderer. Zeruiah's son Abishai said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my master the king? Let me get over and cut his head off." But the king said, "My problems aren't yours. Your son, you sons of Zeruiah. If he is cursing because the Lord told him to curse David, then who is to question? Why are you doing this?" Then David addressed Abishai and all his servants. "Listen, my own son, one of my very own children, wants me dead. This Benjaminite can only feel the same, only wait. This Benjaminite can only feel the same, only more. Leave him alone, and let him curse, because the Lord told him to. Perhaps the Lord will see my distress. Perhaps the Lord will repay me with good for this cursing today." So David and his men kept walking, while Shimei went along on the hillside next to him, cursing as he went, throwing rocks and dirt at him. The king and all the people who were with him reached the Jordan River exhausted, and he rested there. Now Absalom and all the Israelites entered Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with him. Then David's friend Hushai, who was from Erech, approached Absalom and said to him, "Long live the king, long live the king." But Absalom said to Hushai, "Is this how you show loyal love to your friend? Why didn't you go with him?" "No," Hushai replied to Absalom, "I will belong to the one chosen by the Lord, by this people, and by all Israel, and I will stay with him. What's more, what's more, whom should I serve if not David's son? I served your father, and so I will serve you in the same way." Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give your advice then. What should we do?" "Have sex with your father's secondary wives, the ones he left to take care of the palace," Ahithophel told Absalom. "Then all Israel will hear that you have alienated yourself from your father, and everyone who supports you will be encouraged." So they set up a tent for Absalom on the roof, and he had sex with his father's secondary wives in plain sight before all Israel. Now in those days, the advice Ahithophel gave was like asking for a word from God. That's why Ahithophel's advice was valued by both David and Absalom. And I'm going to go ahead and end there today. And like I said, I may, probably not today, but maybe tomorrow, do 2 readings so that we can get through this by tomorrow. And that is it for today. I pray that you all have an amazing day. Be blessed and be the reason someone smiles. Bye.